today I am, as I said, lovingly calling this horsing around. And I think it's an attitude to carry forward through the year. And even though this is some pretty robust energy that the fire horse brings to us, there's a good reminder to keep a light touch and keep it a bit playful. So let's take a look at some of the characteristics of fire horse. Um, One of the things that's probably standing out experientially for a lot of us is that this is a double yang year, a double fire year, really, because the horse is traditionally associated with fire as its kind of native element. So we've got fire on fire coming up. And we can use a lot of the work and strategies that we put into the fire element in general. So that's going to mean we're working with the organs of the heart, complemented by the small intestines. But because fire is a big element, it has two pairs. We also get the pericardium and the triple burner. And we'll do a little hat tip to these in our practice today. But take what you know of the fire element and working with these organs into the year with you because they're going to help you out. You know, the heart is the heart of the matter. It's the primary organ for fire. But it's got the small intestines to help mitigate, and small intestines really good at helping us to decipher what belongs to us and what's really not ours and that we can let go of. So a good mitigator to help the heart have the space that it needs. Of course, pericardium, heart protector, is going to be a good companion, and we'll talk about the value of companionship with the horse in a little bit, but let that pericardium stay there close to the heart. It literally is, but keep the energies close too. And then the pericardium complemented by the triple burner. And that's our beautiful organ of balance, keeping our system aligned. So we'll open today with a little triple burner warm up. Now, the horse itself, um, some of the things it's associated with: movement, freedom, curiosity, and that companionship, that coming together in community. Also passion, spontaneity, a lot of energy behind these things. So that's a gift in that we have the momentum to carry projects forward. We've got courage to maybe tackle things in a way that we haven't before. I read an astrologer making a comment earlier that Mars is direct this year, and so are we. And I think that that's going to be true with the fire horse. It's a time where we might feel a little more emboldened than we normally do. And we can use that with our creative inspirations to carry projects forward. A few of the risks that come with that, however: overstimulation, spontaneity, perhaps turning into impulsivity if we don't check ourselves a little bit along the way. There's the possibility of emotions rising up with fire and burnout. So things to be on the lookout for as you go through the year. Um, I've had a few flashes of movies in my head as I'm thinking about Fire Horse. And one of the flashes was in Lord of the Rings when Arwen is on her horse with Frodo and they're running away from the ring wraiths at breakneck speed and the horses are foaming and ah! And that is not how I suggest we approach this year. So if you start to feel like you have ring wraiths on your tail, maybe give yourself a break. Take a self-care day. Back it down a little bit. The other image that comes to mind for me is from my childhood. I remember the trailer for the Black Stallion. And I remember the Black Stallion and the little boy frolicking on the beach. And there's just this carefree, joyful sense of freedom. That is the horse that I think we're looking for. So, you know, whatever pop culture reference you prefer to call to mind, see if you can tap into some of these horse archetypes that really speak to the horsey energy that you want to call forward in the air. Now, let's take a look at how we might progress through the year. Of course, we've got our natural seasonal cycle. So in spring, the energy's bubbling up. We know this happens every year, but this year it's going to be a pretty inspired bubbling up. the advice is to move forward with wisdom here. There may be an urge to, oh, I could do this and I could do this and this and this and this. I definitely am feeling a little of that myself. A little bit of advice to myself and others would be to perhaps choose one or two priority projects to move forward with and have those be kind of your North Star to point toward as you come into spring. And then in the summer, we have our peak fire. Fire energy is strong at this season anyway, so it's going to be a really fireful season. Take a moment with that pericardium, that heart protector. Take moments of self-care, of rest for yourself so that you can frolic and be joyful and do it without the anxiety of constant movement. Um, there's the note here, avoid inspiration addiction. And so maybe be on the lookout for that energy of wanting to do everything, especially in the summer, and take a few days for yourself here and there. Take a few afternoons to cool it down a little bit. When we come to autumn, it's going to be a natural drawing back, and that might be a little tricky this year with all the fire. But it's an invitation to maybe revisit what you launched forward with in the spring and see what's really speaking to you, what's sticking with you, and carry that forward. Start to shave off the things that you could let go of at that time. And then when we get to winter, very much an invitation to rest, to restore, to be with the water of that season. Let the nervous system reset and recover. And again, it may not be the easiest thing this year, but please do pay attention when you get there and be deliberate about tapping into water. One of the reasons I suggest that is because with our zodiac cycles, we'll have 2 years of fire. So next year we get the fire goat. So keep those embers burning, soft and still within you so that they can rise again next year and not just be burnt out through the fire horse. So a little bit of advice going through our seasonal cycles. Now, some other things we can call on to help us this year. The natural regulating allies. So we've got fire horse, fire being pretty native to horse. Well, water is native to the rat, earth to the goat. And so we can call on our rat and goat companions or just go direct to those elements to help us balance the fire as we move forward. And we'll play with this a bit today in our practice. So water, of course, the direct regulator of fire. If you're feeling that fire rising up, go ahead and see if you can draw it back down. Bring it down to that lower dantian, that sea of qi, and just plunge it in a little bit. Take a moment with some deliberate stillness. Be with that wisdom of water to find your own coping strategies and to feel into the emotions of the year. Fire lets emotion rise, but water can be with and sit with that emotion and see what it has to communicate. So a few practices you might consider would be taking quiet mornings, or maybe it's evenings for you, but just finding a moment where you know this is for me, this is a quiet time. Stay hydrated and practice with some yin, whether that's yin yoga, yin in your Qigong practice. Just call on the yin to balance the yang a bit. Now, earth, of course, in our generative cycle, earth draws fire. Also, it's that central grounding element. So we can lean into that to kind of help settle the fire, help to bring it down to earth. And it can add a stabilizing quality to fire, but we don't necessarily need to bury the fire. We can just build a nice ring around it. So it can be a mitigating element for us, helping to stabilize that fire. And it's got the element of nourishment. So one thing I notice here, we've got water, we've got earth, we've got hydration, and we've got nourishment. These sound like good things for all living creatures. Of course, your horse is going to need both. So take the time to have some healthy meals along the way, pace it out. And a horse is going to really benefit from Earth's routine, its stability. So even if it's not a set routine morning to evening, do check in with yourself. See if there are a few just natural cycles that serve you day in and day out as you move through the year. Sometimes that's as simple as choosing a meal or two that this is your meal time, or this is your practice time. And you might, when the weather is conducive, kick off your shoes and walk barefoot on the earth when you can, and just let that be a grounding force for you. All right. A few more tips and tricks that we can bring in. Community. Fire has this natural desire for connection, and so does the horse. So we can really lean into this to help balance fire. We allow for that connection to come forward. So even though fire horse might feel like it's got this urge to just gallop on, take a few breaks with friends. Give yourself some social time, whatever that means to you in a healthy way. Um, think about the horses that you've observed out in nature. They do things as a herd. They graze, rest, and move together. And one of the things I think we can take from this, a lesson from the horse, would be to lean into our friends and our community and maybe identify one or two companions on the way who really speak to you, who share your practice or just share your heart. And, maybe make a little handshake deal for this year. Like, I'm gonna keep an eye on you and you keep an eye on me. And if I see you bubbling up with fire here, I'm gonna say, hey, let's go grab a cup of tea. And use them as a mirror to kind of feel, whew, okay, yes, it's time to step back. It's time to be a little more playful. Time to just sit down with a friend and maybe digest what's been going on. So, with this, I will draw us to a close with 3 anchors for the year. This Fire Horse year gives us direction, but a reminder to ourselves that that is a paced direction. It's not urgent, it's not anxious, but we can stay the course with strength. And to help us, we can mitigate fire with water and balance it with earth. And then carry that momentum forward in a gentle, soft way by really tapping into our communities and into our personal connections. So move forward, keep that heart bright, and let the fire warm you, but not consume you. And I just want to share a thank you to Julia, who shared this beautiful photo of her and her pony. I just thought I'd stick that in there because I think it's a great representation of companionship with a horse. So thank you, Julia. And with that, I'll conclude. If you would like to further celebrate the year of the horse, Fire Horse, with me, feel free to reach out at any time. I think everyone here knows where to find my website or where to find me. I do have a Thursday evening class. It's an intimate little session if anyone ever wants to drop in, Thursday evening Pacific. And cooking up what I want to do next with teaching. So if you have any ideas for me, do feel free to let me know. One thing I am cooking up that I'll be in touch about is I'm excited to start an embodied arts teacher circle. And I think I'd like to do that as a monthly thing. I'm eyeballing the first Thursday of the month, maybe about this time. So just put those things out there and I'll be in touch if any of that appeals to you. But for now, I want to draw this to a close. And I think if all goes according to plan, yes, with a click of the button, we are all back together here. Beautiful. And with this, I'm going to take a sip of tea, and you might do likewise, and we'll begin to move toward a shared practice together. Just taking a moment to come into your space, to find yourself comfortable. I'm going to present this as a standing practice, but please do always feel welcome to translate to a seated practice, to take a moment for yourself as needed, or to modify anything along the way. You are the authority of your experience and your practice, so please do listen in and honor that. And I'm going to meet you in our Wuji posture with those feet about shoulder distance apart, knees soft, tailbone sinking down toward the earth, and maybe taking a moment to give a little wiggle through the spine, inviting those vertebrae to open up. Softly tucking the chin, feeling the Bai Hui point at the top of the skull, smile up to the sky above. Arms soft at the sides, and we'll bring one palm over the other at the lower dantian. Taking a moment to meet the breath. Just noticing if it has any messages for you in this moment. And then inviting that breath to deepen and descend within you. Feeling it sinking into the lower abdomen. And taking a moment to notice your feet sinking into the earth below. And here I invite you to call up any horses you may have known, or if you haven't had the privilege, horses that you've seen out in the wild. Just call to mind some of the characteristics, some of the interactions you've witnessed. With your mind's eye, notice characteristics that speak to you. From here, I invite you to call these in, invite them in, and let your personal spirit horse rise within you. Spirit horse that displays and holds these characteristics for you. Taking one more breath here. And then softly releasing the palms. We'll take a moment with the palms facing the earth. And just a few more breaths here, feeling that stabilizing earth force. Maybe breathing in a conversation, breathing earth up through the palms, and with the exhale, softly releasing any excess energy, any excess fire down to the earth. And from here, we'll bring palms face up below the lower dantian. And we'll start carrying palms up the midline of the body, fingers interweave, turning out and coming up overhead. Softly releasing to the sides. Can add a little bend in the knees as you come down. Inhaling up, and if you'd like, you can take this up onto the toes before exhaling and releasing. Start to come into this at your pace of breath. Some of us will be a little faster, some a little slower. honor that breath as our two hands support the heavens, balancing for the triple burner. Inhaling, we rise. Exhaling, release, and see how softly you can set those heels down if you're coming up on the toes. One more round of breath. Allow those arms to soften to the sides. And we'll come into closing the gates, opening and closing the gates. For this one, we'll come into cactus arms. And then we're going to take backs of palms spiraling. And we're going to combine this with gently reaching forward. The head is between the arms here, and we're hinging at the hips. We'll come back up into those cactus arms. Gentle hinge as those arms spiral forward. A little bend in the knees can give you a beautiful stretch through the low back. Inhaling up, if you'd like, take the gaze up and get a little bit of a stretch through the upper back. Then exhale, palms spiral forward. And enjoy this one at your own pace of breath, feeling that back opening, that soft spiral through the arms into the shoulders. As we open the gates to a new year. Taking one more round of breath. And then rising and releasing. Feel free to wiggle or reset at any point. From here, we'll come into knocking on the door of life. So just into that tailbone, feel it dripping down toward the earth, and then we'll begin turning at the hips and the waist. Couple options always available for you. If you like that corkscrew twist through the spine, you can certainly take the gaze over one shoulder and then the other. That makes you dizzy at all, go ahead and keep the gaze forward. That will also bring a beautiful stretch through the spine. So either one. Feel that connection in the lower back with the Mimen point, the gate of life. And then invitation with the palm in front to make a loose fist, and we're going to bring it up to heart center. You can tap lightly here as we continue turning from the hips and the waist. Breathing, feeling that depth of breath. And then invitation to take the twist out of it, keep the knocking, and just very deliberately feel this connection between the heart center and the kidney center. Your fire rooting down into water. Breathing into this. And then bringing loose fist to that heart center, we'll tap over heart center. Let's take a few big open-throated sighs, the heart healing sound. And Zoom might mute me, but you just go ahead and make that a nice big breath on your side. The next inhale, hold and tap just a little firmer. And let the exhale carry those palms down the center line. Brushing down the body, soothing the nervous system. Allowing those palms to come to rest at the sides. Taking a breath to feel into the heart and the gate of life. Feel an opening, a connection between the two. That mixing of fire and water that can support us through the season. Then we'll step the feet a little wider, not your widest, but a little wider than shoulder distance. Soft bend in the knees. We'll start shifting weight side to side. We'll come into move the body like a river. So allowing the torso then to follow side to side, a side undulation. And if and as you like, you can start to hinge at the hips. Carry this down to the level that feels good to you. If you'd like, those palms can float off the thighs and flow with you. Then I invite you to bring to mind horses grazing in a field and slow this form down to the pace that you might take if you were a horse grazing in a field. They don't seem to be terribly rushed when they're comfortable and enjoying that nourishment. We'll feel this as a slow invitation. And then let that come back to center, and we'll take it into a forward fold. Just letting the spine drip down to the point that feels right for your day. Go ahead and take one palm to each elbow, and then shake the head no. Releasing through the neck, and shake the head yes. Then reverse the palm that's in front and go ahead and give yourself a few ragdolls, just allowing your torso to swing softly. Inviting release through the spine. From here, bending the knees so that you can bring the palms to the earth for a moment and just check in with the earth. Feel that stabilizing force. Always solid beneath your hooves. From here, we'll bend those knees deliberately and begin to roll up vertebrae by vertebrae, palms coming up the center line of the body, up overhead, soft stretch here, and release it to the sides. Beautiful. Heel toe those feet back in. And here, we'll take a little tapping for the side body. So we're going to come in here to the beginning of the heart meridian. We'll use a little karate chop palm and softly tap in at that heart one point. Here, awakening the point, being present with it. And then we'll cool that chi by walking it down the side body. So 3 rounds, tapping down the side body. Let those palms switch sides, and we'll take it to the other side, tapping here into the armpit. This one particularly helpful for spring as we're instructing the liver chi to stay calm, not bubble up into the heart. And then we'll take that down 3 times, walking it down the side body. Let those arms come to the sides. Take a breath here and just sense and feel. Noticing any shifts since we began our practice. And then from here, let's release anything that we stirred up, any excess. We're going to start with a little shimmy in the hips, and we're going to work that up the spine into the shoulders, and then a big exhale out through the palms, vibrating horse. Go ahead and work that up in your own time. Use that big, open-throated, fire healing sound to release out through the palms to the earth. Enjoy that shimmy, that shake, that letting go. Let's do one more. Vibrate that horse and release. Lovely. And take that back to center. Enjoying a breath. And from here, I'd like to come into a little workshop moment. We'll just take a little look at parting the horse's mane before we move toward flow. So I think many of you have seen this before, but let's just go ahead and check in with it because there are so many interpretations of how to bring this Tai Chi form into Qigong. So I'll review the style that I plan to introduce today. We'll go ahead and grab a Chi ball here and invitation to take a moment with your Chi ball. Just set up that fire horse Chi ball energy. And then we'll check in. I'm going to bring my left over my right here. And for this form, the upper palm is softly going to descend as the lower palm slices out and up. You can have a slight turn of the torso with that slice. Upper palm then trades places. They come to face each other at center. Right palm descending now. Left is going to slice out, slight turn of the torso. And we'll continue. Palms come into center, facing each other. That little chi ball gets softly squeezed down, and then we release that lower palm, soft turn of the torso. Gather out to the side, and then bring palms back into center, facing each other once more. Slicing out, turning, and returning. All right, that is beautiful, and you are more than welcome to stick with that. Now, if you want to get fancy with it, and to me, this kind of makes it a little more frolicky, a little more horsey fun, we can take that same starting form. I'm bringing my left over my right here. I'm going to give you a little bit of an angle here. I'm going to slice out with that lower palm. And then this palm that's sliced is now going to turn down and weave a circle. As it's doing that, the palm at the midline is going to come up and weave a circle. And those circles are each going to continue until we arrive back at center. And we can do it on the other side. So right palm descending, left palm slicing up. I'm going to just take it one at a time here. That left palm slicing up, softly turning down, drawing a circle that comes back, up, and around. It's going to end here. Now the palm that was waiting here at center is going to come up, and it's going to draw a soft little circle here, brushing down, returning, and we end up back here. Let's try that a few times, and then you can choose if this is the course you want for flow. All right, so as that left palm descends, right palm slices out. We begin to circle, both circles happening at the same time now if you're up for it. So it's this little weaving together of the horse's mane. I'm having images of braids and horses' hair. And then we come back to center. Same thing, lower palm cutting up, brushing down to create a circle. Each one weaving together. Y'all look beautiful. Let's just do one more to each side for the practice of it. Brushing out, weaving that braid through the horse's mane. Returning to center, brushing out, and weaving on this side. Circle, circle, return. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Okay, we'll bring that into flow today. For now, let's take a minute for you. Whatever your body is asking for, if that's a little stretch, please honor that. If you would like a moment of hydration, please honor that. If you just want to stand in meditation, that is also an option. And taking about 3 more breaths wherever you're at. When you're ready, I will meet you back at Wuji. And before we dive in, I'll share with you what I shared with my class yesterday, especially acknowledging that many of us are teachers. I got really curious about horse gaits, how they walk. Um, and then discovered, ooh, the hoof patterns on different walks are really interesting. When they're just walking, it's one hoof touching down at a time. Then there's the trot that's opposite. And then the canter is the one that I was like, oh, this is a mind game because it's back, diagonal, front, back, diagonal, front. And then when they start galloping, it's one hoof at a time, but there's that moment of pause, that beautiful breath in the air. Um, I offer that to you if you'd like to take that home as homework. That can be a fun thing to play with. I was doing it on all fours on the kitchen floor, and the dog and the cat thought I was insane. So be warned, it can be extra fun for those who might be around you. But it was a nice way to just kind of embody horse for a little bit. So we are not going to do that necessarily, but I'm going to invite you to tap into the different speeds as we come into wild horse shaking and come into that at a slow walk. Horse sauntering through a field, Just taking it easy. Softly shaking here. No big deal. Walking through a meadow. And maybe this is a good time to do a few of those little horsey exhales where you flutter your lips. Just let it go. Oh, that's fun. Maybe we take it into a trot just a little faster. You feel free to interject fluttering exhales at any moment. Maybe there's that little shake of the mane at the same time. Ooh, maybe we come into a canter because that was fun. Let's frolic a little bit. Ooh, this is fun. This is exciting. I think I'm going to break out into a full-blown gallop. You can join me if you like. Bring it all the way up to speed. And this might be a really good time for the fire healing sound. Big open-throated sigh. And from here, I offer to you some moments of play. You don't need to stay in a breakneck gallop. We don't have ring wraiths behind us, so maybe it's backing off to that trot. Maybe it's the canter. You choose. Play with the speed and maybe play with how you exhale. The fire healing sound releases heat. The loose lips just lets it all go. Great for the nervous system, great for expression. Wherever you are, let's go ahead and walk it back to that walking pace. Nice and slow. Oh, that was a beautiful run out on the meadow. Slowing it down, and bringing that to stillness. Taking a moment to appreciate that horse chi, that spirit horse that you set free. And from here, we'll step it out into horse stance, a little wider than shoulder distance. Not necessarily your widest. Softening in the knees and letting the tailbone sink down. So not coming necessarily to your lowest low, but making that comfortable. We'll hold it for a moment. As you set it up, you might come into your leg muscles and just feel a little internal rotation, almost as if you were going to pull your knees toward each other. Feel that strengthening. And then external rotation as if you were going to pull your knees apart, but instead just keep it in the muscles. Feel what that does in your feet. Feel what that does in your tailbone, and then soften. Soften into it. Let the strength, let the trying go. Just settle into the earth. Arms softly rounding in lower embrace tree. You are welcome to stay here, or if you prefer to let those arms glide up, they can smile into the heart as we embrace oneness, embrace tree. Let the breath settle. Feel yourself a balanced horse, strong, sure, playful, courageous. And feel the connection that this creates. You with the earth, you with your heart, and that heart radiating out. Enjoying one more breath here, and then very slowly, not spooking our horse chi, we'll begin to descend the palms. Softly, softly. Coming down, rising out of that horse stance, heel toe the feet, back to Wuji. Bringing one palm to float over the other, connecting with that chi ball for a moment, maybe spinning it, maybe pulsing it. And then you decide which hand comes atop. I'm going to bring left over right. And when you're ready, coming into parting the horse's mane. And I'll lead off with that simple version. Sometimes simple is perfect. So you decide if this is you today. It's a very soft, meditative form. The yang of that straight line, the yin of the soft rounding. If you feel like braiding that mane, go ahead and relax into the additional circles. Turning a little more at the waist as you do them, and then riding back to center. That lower palm slices, circles down, and these two circles weaving together. I suggest a natural breath with this one, but you may find a breath pattern that you flow into. Either way, don't effort it. Just flow with it. So much of the fire horse is an invitation to go with the flow. My bunny just moved my camera. Well, there we go. We'll go with the flow on that one. Hmm. I actually found a fire horse song. Maybe I'll see if I can link to it when I send the recording out. But I really liked some of the lyrics, which talk about finding the rhythm in the chaos. Fire horse, very capable of finding the rhythm despite what might seem like chaos of fire. Let's take one more to each side. And then maybe return to that simple form for a few rounds. One more round. And then go ahead and allow that palm to descend into the other. Feel that little chi ball condensing, condensing, condensing. And bring that into center. We'll step it back out into a horse stance. I'm just going to adjust my camera ever so slightly. The strength of a bunny. And we'll come into a form that was taught to me as Nod the Head and Wag the Tail to Calm Heart Fire by Mimi Quotimer. So we're in our horse stance, a soft bend in the knees, tailbone sinking down, palms resting softly on the thighs. And here for this form, we're really going to think about that Tai Chi axis between the tailbone and the Bai Hui point at the top of the skull. Keeping that elongation, we'll turn to one side, softly leaning just a little bit here out of the hips and the waist. And then coming through center, we don't need to go too deep or too far. We take that over to the other side. Inhale it up. Exhale, we come down softly through center. And the inhale brings us back up. We'll continue side to side, and again, just feeling into that lengthening through the central channel. And feeling that soft descent of the heart center toward the water, as well as the engagement in the kidney region. And as we go through a few more rounds, see how soft, how relaxed you can be in the strength of this form. Enjoy one more to each side. And then we'll return to center. Rise out of the legs, heel toe, those feet back to Wuji. And from here, we'll take a soft inhale, arms rising up. They'll come into the heart. Exhale. Fingers here weaving as they turn to face out. Inhale. And then we'll continue. Palms turn up. We gather in toward the heart. Pinky guides. Fingers unfurl as they turn out. Parting clouds. Continuing with your breath. And just clearing some space for the heart. Making a little room. Taking that moment of self-care, of rest. Once more. And then we'll allow the palms to flutter down. We'll turn out once more, and this time gathering. We'll let the palms float, arms crossing over the heart as hands come to heart. Gentle tuck of the chin when you arrive and allow those palms to rest here. Take a few rounds of breath. in communion with your own heart, accepting that invitation to be with the fire within, to nourish and nurture it. And then allow your inhale to float palms wide open. Let that heart shine out. And we'll return, crossing opposite arm over opposite arm. Gathering back into the heart. One more moment, tucking chin, being with self, knowing that fire to be something that you can nurture, an ember that you can keep glowing through the year, even through next year. And with that self-knowing, with the next inhale, we'll open and let that heart center shine out, make connection, share. And then palms descend once more to the sides. A final form today, we'll gather, coming into a few rounds of our lotus flow. So palms coming up, thumb and first finger meet overhead. And we carry this down through center to the earth. Palms float up to heart center, turning out, and let that be your little amplifier, sending love into the world before those fingers tumble down and the lotus flower of compassion blossoms at heart center. Let's repeat twice more, gathering this beautiful fire horse chi, beautiful gift of passion and compassion. Ground that down. Let it settle to the earth. And then bring it to heart center. Send that love, send that joy out and blossom. Once more. Feeling as we do this last form, the community and communion of all of us celebrating the beautiful fire, the beautiful horse energy, and then amplify that out to each other, our gift in community, and allow that to come in and blossom in your own heart. Beautiful. Soft release here. And we'll gather 3 times to draw down the heavens. First, gathering and acknowledging gratitude for the year past. The wood snake had many beautiful lessons to teach us. We incorporate those and release them. A second gathering for the future. The fire horse as it prances forward, inspired, joyful, ready to carry us into a beautiful future. And our third gathering here in the present, together in our shared space at this crux moment as we welcome a new year. And bringing one palm over the other at the lower dantian, stepping one foot in, followed by the other. Taking a few personal breaths to simply Let go of the reins. Let that beautiful fire horse chi prance through you and trust that it will carry you where you need to go. Softly releasing this form, we'll close with 3 bows, taking dominant palm into a fist, non-dominant palm sheaths your weapon, and we'll bow first to each other, to our fellow fire horse practitioners, in whatever time or space they find themselves. A second bow is to our teachers, past, present, future, whether they be horse, human, or other. And a third and final bow is to the self, to the spirit horse within, representing those who came before, those who follow after, galloping together in one beautiful continuum. And with that, I thank you so much for sharing this beautiful practice together. Thank you. Take a moment to return